Hello, Peers Parents. Welcome to week 5 session review. This week's all about the appropriate use of humor. So, in building new friendships and relationships, humor is a lot of fun. We love joke telling, making us laugh is a good thing. Being able to laugh with our friends is a lot of fun. And having a sense of humor and jokes can also ease tension if you're in an uncomfortable situation or feeling uncomfortable in a social situation. It is a great tool to have, but it can also be misread in social situations too. We can overuse jokes. We can be inappropriate in our joke telling. And, there's a time and a place for jokes. Not every situation is a good situation for joke telling. So we all know that we love a good joke and we love a good laugh. So in this session, we're going to review the appropriate times and appropriate places to use humor, also how to tell if our humor is being received well, and how to respond to humor. Okay, so like I said, when used appropriately, humor can be magnetic and can be a lot of fun, but if it's used inappropriately, humor can be one of the fastest ways to push people away. If humor is used, it must be used appropriately. So when you're first meeting someone, is humor the best thing to bring into play? Probably not. We need to be a little bit more serious when first getting to know someone, because they may not understand your sense of humor. We don't know these people yet and how they're going to respond. People might think you're making fun of them if they don't understand your jokes. They might think you're weird. And vice versa. On the flip side, if someone else is telling you jokes when you don't know them and you don't know their sense of humor, you may take it the wrong way as well. Excessive joke telling over electronic communication probably should be avoided. If we are telling jokes, we should use emojis, LOL, JK, to convey our tone, because it's very difficult to convey tone over electronic communication. Should we repeat jokes with people who've already heard them? Probably not. A joke is typically only funny the first time you've heard it. You can retell jokes to new groups of people if you really like to joke, but let's not repeat the same joke over and over. A joke is only funny the first time you've heard it. We're going to talk about avoiding inside jokes with people who will not get them. So an inside joke with that group of peers that relates to it can be really funny, and it could be a great way, to connect with a certain group of people, but telling those jokes outside of that group of people is probably not appropriate unless you're willing to take the time to explain it. And typically after you've taken the time to explain a joke, or if you need to explain a joke, it's probably not that funny. So we'll talk about avoiding that with people who will not get them. We're going to talk about insult jokes and dirty jokes, and we're going to identify those. So what is an insult joke? Do not tell jokes at other people's expenses, jokes that make fun of people. It can, create a very hostile environment. It can hurt people's feelings. Dirty jokes are generally sexual in nature. They often make people feel uncomfortable, and they could be considered sexual harassment. So very important not to tell those. There are certain jokes and ways we joke once we really get to know somebody well, to our best, closest friends, but probably not when we're making new friends. And it's probably just best to avoid these types of jokes altogether. Right, humor should be age appropriate, so tell jokes that are targeted towards that age category. So we'll talk about this. Let's not tell immature little kid jokes to an older group of peers, or jokes that are targeted for an older audience to younger kids. Humor should be context appropriate. What does that mean? It should kind of relate to what you're talking about. You don't want to just burst out into a joke that has nothing to do with your situation. You'll throw people off. They'll be confused. We'll avoid telling jokes to people in authority. So, who's in authority? Our bosses, our professors at school. And when someone's telling a joke, we're not going to laugh for no obvious reason. So there's appropriate time and a place for laughing. We're not just going to burst out randomly laughing. We're going to think about whether it's the right time to be telling a joke and how to give a courtesy laugh for appropriate jokes. So we're going to talk about our humor feedback. So how we give proper humor feedback and how we can tell what kind of feedback we're getting so that we know if we're telling good jokes, is this the time and place? How do we tell? Or if maybe we shouldn't be telling a joke, are our jokes being received well? We're going to review some situations of how to give a courtesy laugh properly and how not to. So we have these social scenarios that we review in our sessions. They're little role play videos. There's always one where the participants are doing it the wrong way, and then one where they're doing it the right way. And then we will discuss why. So we'll look at the right way to give a courtesy laugh and the wrong way. And then we're going to practice that. So we're going to practice telling a joke, and then after the punchline, how to respond appropriately and vice versa. So you can smile, say, that's funny, that was a good one, looking at them, not rolling your eyes, things like that. And then we're going to talk about some of these questions. So when telling a joke, what do you need to pay attention to? What are the different reactions that you might get after telling a joke? And how do you tell if someone's laughing at you or with you? So this is looking at our humor feedback. So we're going to look at this a lot today. We're going to look at this chart. We're going to look at the signs to tell if when you're telling a joke, someone's laughing at you or if someone's laughing with you. If someone's laughing at you and showing these signs, it's probably a good idea that your joke wasn't received well, or that's the group of people that you probably don't want to tell jokes with again. Or if they're laughing with you, people enjoy your joke telling, and this is a good group to joke with. So we're going to review some of these. Different types of humor feedback. They don't laugh, or they give you a courtesy laugh. They laugh at you. They laugh with you. You know, courtesy laughs are good when they're done the right way. Laughing with you is great. You don't want people to laugh at you. And we'll take some time to practice. We're going to do a little exercise here where we're going to play a video and have everyone close their eyes and see if you can tell what the joke feedback was. Were they laughing at the person or laughing with the person? Can you tell when you have your eyes closed just from listening? And then we're going to play it again, and this time we're going to listen and watch with our eyes open. And then we're going to talk about whether it was easier to tell with your eyes open or your eyes closed. We're thinking that most of our responses will be eyes open, and this exercise is to practice ways to tell and watch for your humor feedback. So we're going to look at body language. Were they looking at you? Were they laughing? Were they rolling their eyes? Were they turned away? We're going to practice it more. So we take a lot of time to practice in our groups because practice makes perfect, and we can really get a good idea. Again, what was easier? We'll get everyone to say, was it easier with your eyes open or your eyes closed, and why? Then we're going to talk about how people have different relationships with humor. It's okay to not be a joke teller. Not everyone is a joke teller, and you don't need to be a joke teller. So sometimes we try a little too hard to be a joke teller because we want to make people laugh. When people laugh with you, it's really fun. But we're just not all joke tellers. Sometimes we're good joke receivers, and it's more important to laugh with your friends than to make your friends laugh. So we're going to identify what makes you a good joke teller, what makes you a joke receiver. And some people are just all in all joke refusers. So some people don't like jokes, and that's okay. We're going to have a group discussion and identify our relationship with humor so that we know what's the best way to use it when we enter our social situations. Are we going to be a joke teller? Are we a joke receiver? Are we joke refusers? And why do we think so? Okay, so once we're all done with humor, an appropriate sense of humor lesson, we are going to move on to practicing our trading information and finding common interests. So we asked all of our participants to bring a personal item today to practice trading information with. So if you haven't already looked for one or talked about this with your participant, have them find something that is important to them or special to them that they can talk about and bring to class for Friday to trade information with. So at this point in our session, we will do that. We'll break into groups and we'll practice sharing our personal item, trading information, and we're doing that to see if we can find common interests. We'll come back as a group and discuss this. So what were common interests found? What could you do with that information if you're going to hang out with that person? Where might you find other people with these common interests? And what are some social activities related to your interests? So this is just practicing and prepping the participants for when they do engage with new peers, how they can trade information and how they can practice that skill. And then we've got our homework reviews. So I will share my screen on your parent handout to show you what this is going to look like, but we'll review homework with our participants at the end. And here it is. So our homework assignment this week is to practice our humor feedback and pay attention to it. So just out in social environments, our participants should notice whether people are laughing at them or laughing with them if they happen to tell a joke, or if they're in a situation where joke telling happens, and then discuss their humor feedback. So if they were in a situation, tell them to come home and talk about it. Did they tell a joke? How was it received? And to discuss with them whether they think they're a joke teller and a joke receiver. So just extend on the conversation we had in class today. And then we're going to get right to our sources of friends. So should find a new group that they do not normally hang out with and practice trading information with that group. So parents should discuss and decide on extracurricular activities with their participant based on their participant's interests. We discussed this last week, and begin to enroll in those activities so they can start engaging with new peers. We're also going to have an in-group call, just an extension of what we've been doing the past weeks. We're going to plan an in-group call, so we'll plan this at the end of our session on Friday with the participants. We'll plan who they're calling and what time they're calling, and then we'll pass that information on to you. Before the call, please practice. So during the call, we're just practicing trading information and finding common interests to report back to the group. So note taking is encouraged. So when you trade your information, let's take notes on what information was traded. Did you find a common interest? What was that? We're going to share. Follow the rules for beginning and ending the phone call using those cover stories. So that's your reason for starting and ending the call. Afterwards, discuss with your participant and prep for what they're going to say in class. So what were the common interests? What were the cover stories? How did the phone call begin and end? And troubleshoot any problems that came up. We're going to have another outer group call just like you did this past week. So hopefully your outer group calls went well. You're going to arrange that again with your participant to call someone outside the group. So again, this is not a new friend. This is someone that we already know, that we're comfortable speaking with. During the call, you're going to practice what you do in your in-group calls. You're going to trade information. You're going to work on finding a common interest, and you're going to follow the rules of the two-way conversation. Again, don't be a conversation hog. Don't be an interviewer. The conversation should be 50-50. So you should be in trading information 50% of the time, each person on the call. Use your cover stories to begin and end the call. And let's see what kind of common interest they can find. And if they found any, please take time to discuss this with them afterwards and troubleshoot, again, any issues that came up. We're also going to ask that they continue to bring a personal item, so something different than they brought this week. So look for another personal item that they can trade information about with someone else in the group to find common interests. And that is session 5. There is more information throughout this parent handout on the slides that I reviewed with you, so please take time to look at this before the session on Friday, and we will meet as a group with parents and the instructors at 11:30 Pacific time after the participant session. The link will be added in the email. It's at the bottom of the email where you found this video and your handout. So hopefully you are able to access that. Please have that ready. There have been some troubleshooting that needs to take place. That is okay. Please message us and connect with us before the meeting if you are having issues. And we'll try to hop in promptly at 11:30. We only have 30 minutes to discuss, so this generally does come quick. So make sure you have that link and you can get it. And we will see you guys on Friday. Have a good rest of your week. Bye.